What if I told you that the most powerful mental tool ever created has been hiding in plain sight for over 2,000 years? The ancient Romans, soldiers, emperors, philosophers, used it to walk into battle without fear. Senators used it to face exile with a smile. And Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man on earth, used it every single morning before he even got out of bed. It's called negative visualization. And here's the brutal irony. Most people in the modern world already do a version of this practice, but they do it completely backwards. And that backwards version, it's destroying their peace, their relationships, and their happiness. Today, we're going to fix that. In the next 20 minutes, you're going to discover an ancient Stoic technique so psychologically powerful that modern neuroscience is only now beginning to understand why it works. You'll learn how Roman gladiators used it to stay calm before death, how a prisoner of war used it to survive years of torture, and how you can use it starting tonight to feel richer, calmer, and more grateful than you've felt in years. But I need to warn you about something first. This practice sounds simple, almost too simple. Your brain will want to dismiss it. Don't let it. Because the people who've truly mastered this technique, from Marcus Aurelius to modern Navy SEALs, all say the same thing. Nothing changed their life more profoundly. Stay with me. Let's begin. The Stoics called it Premeditatio Malorum, the premeditation of evils. In plain English, it means deliberately imagining that the things you love most are gone. Your health, your home, your relationships, your job, the people you love. Gone. Now, before you close this video and call that morbid, hear me out. Because what I just described is not pessimism. It is not depression, and it is absolutely not giving up on life. It is, in fact, the opposite. Negative visualization is a controlled mental exercise where you spend a few quiet minutes each day imagining the loss of things you currently take for granted, not to make you sad, but to make you awake, to force your brain out of its natural state, which neuroscientists call hedonic adaptation, where you stop noticing, stop appreciating, and stop feeling grateful for the extraordinary things already in your life. Think about it. When was the last time you felt genuinely grateful for your legs? For the fact that your lungs are breathing right now without you even thinking about it? For the person sleeping next to you or the child in the next room? We stop seeing what we have. We adapt. We take it for granted. And we suffer, not from lack, but from blindness. Negative visualization is the cure. It tears the blindfold off. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has." Negative visualization is how you get there. To understand negative visualization properly, we need to go back, way back, to the streets of ancient Athens around 300 BC. A merchant ship carrying precious cargo crashes into the rocks near the Greek coast. The sole survivor, a wealthy Phoenician merchant named Zeno of Citium, swims ashore with nothing. Everything he owned is at the bottom of the sea. Most men would have crumbled. Zeno walked to a bookshop. Inside, he picked up a book about Socrates and read these words: "What is the best life a human can live?" That question changed history. Zeno began studying philosophy and eventually founded the school of Stoicism, one of the greatest philosophical movements the world has ever seen.
And at the very heart of Stoicism was this idea: the things outside your control can be taken from you at any moment. Wealth, health, status, even the people you love. But your mind, your response, your character, your inner world, that can never be taken. The Stoics didn't just preach this, they practiced it daily. Seneca, the wealthy Roman statesman, would regularly sleep on the floor, wear rough clothes, and eat simple food, even though he was one of the richest men in Rome. Why? To remind himself that he could survive without luxury, to strip away the fear of loss before loss ever arrived. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." These weren't just words. This was a daily practice, a mental training routine, and it started with imagination.
Now, let's fast forward to the 21st century, because what the Stoics discovered through philosophy, modern neuroscience is confirming through brain scans. It all starts with a concept called hedonic adaptation. Your brain is, at its core, a prediction machine. It constantly adjusts your emotional baseline based on what it considers normal. When something good happens, you get a raise, fall in love, buy a new car, you feel a surge of happiness. But within weeks, sometimes days, your brain recalibrates. That thing becomes the new normal, and the happiness fades. Psychologists call this the hedonic treadmill. You keep running, you keep acquiring, but happiness stays just out of reach.
This is why lottery winners, studies show, return to roughly the same happiness levels within a year of winning. This is why the promotion you worked 5 years for feels hollow within a month. Negative visualization short-circuits this process. When you vividly imagine losing something and then open your eyes and realize you still have it, your brain gets a jolt, a reset. Researchers at Ohio State University found that people who practiced a form of negative visualization reported significantly higher satisfaction with their current lives than those who only focused on positive outcomes. Dr. Timothy Wilson's research on effective forecasting shows that we are terrible at predicting how we'll feel about future events. But imagining loss, that activates the emotional brain powerfully and forces genuine appreciation. In simple terms, your brain cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you imagine losing your home and then get it back by opening your eyes, your brain registers relief, gratitude, and joy, as if it just actually happened. You are hacking happiness with a 2,000-year-old Stoic tool.
In 1965, a U.S. Navy pilot named James Stockdale was shot down over Vietnam and captured. For the next 7.5 years, he was held as a prisoner of war in the Hanoi Hilton, one of the most brutal prison camps in history. He was tortured over 20 times. He had no release date, no certainty he would ever see his wife or children again. He survived. Not only survived, he came out psychologically stronger than most men who were never imprisoned. After his release, when asked how he endured, Stockdale said something that stopped people cold. He said the prisoners who didn't make it were the optimists, the ones who said, "We'll be out by Christmas." Then Christmas came and went, then Easter, then another Christmas, and their hope, built on expectation, shattered them. Stockdale had something different. He had Stoic philosophy. Specifically, he had read Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the greatest Stoic philosophers before his deployment, and he carried those ideas into that prison cell. He accepted the worst. He mentally prepared for it. He didn't hope for Christmas. He focused only on what he could control: his mind, his dignity, his character. This is what psychologists now call the Stockdale paradox. Hold unwavering faith that you will prevail, while also confronting the brutal facts of your current reality. Negative visualization isn't about giving up hope.
It's about making your hope unbreakable. Here's where things get really important and really uncomfortable. Because you do practice a form of negative visualization every single day. You just don't realize it. And you're doing it completely wrong. Here's what backwards negative visualization looks like. You're lying in bed at 2 a.m. You can't sleep, and your mind starts spiraling. What if I lose my job? What if my partner leaves me? What if I get sick? What if I can't pay the mortgage? What if? Sound familiar? That is uncontrolled, catastrophic thinking, and it is the dark twin of Stoic negative visualization. It has all the pain with none of the benefit. The difference between Stoic practice and anxious catastrophizing comes down to 3 things. First, intention. The Stoic chooses to enter the visualization deliberately, with purpose. The anxious mind gets dragged in involuntarily. Second, detachment. The Stoic observes the scenario from a calm distance, like watching a film. The anxious mind is inside the nightmare, flooded with cortisol and panic. Third, return. The Stoic always returns from the visualization to the present and feels grateful. The anxious mind stays trapped, spinning deeper and deeper. Same raw material, radically different outcomes. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." If you're going to suffer imagining loss, and your brain will, it's wired to, then at least make it work for you. Make it intentional. Make it Stoic. All right, let's get practical. Here is exactly how to practice negative visualization, the way the Stoics intended. Step 1, choose your moment. The best time is either first thing in the morning, as Marcus Aurelius did, or last thing before you sleep. 5 to 10 minutes is all you need. Find a quiet place, sit comfortably, close your eyes. Step 2, choose your object of focus. Pick one thing in your life that you deeply value. It could be a person, your partner, your child, your parent. It could be your health, your ability to walk, to see, to breathe. It could be your home, your career, your freedom. Step 3, imagine it gone. Completely. Don't just think about it abstractly. Make it vivid. Specific. Sensory. If you're imagining losing your partner, don't just think they're gone. Imagine sitting at the dining table alone. Imagine waking up and reaching across to an empty side of the bed. Imagine the silence in a house that used to be full. Let the emotion come. Don't push it away. Step 4, hold it, then release. Stay in that imagined space for a minute or 2. Feel the weight of it. Then slowly, deliberately, return to the present. Open your eyes and realize they are here. You still have this right now, in this moment. Step 5, feel the gratitude. Don't force it. You don't need to manufacture happiness. The gratitude will come naturally. That's the entire point of the exercise. Your brain will reset. The world will look slightly different, brighter, more precious. Do this daily for 30 days. You will not recognize your inner life. Let's talk about love, because this is where negative visualization becomes, in my view, its most powerful and most needed. Relationships are perhaps the single greatest victim of hedonic adaptation. The person who once made your heart race becomes background furniture. The voice that used to make you light up becomes just noise. Not because love died, but because the brain adapted. Seneca wrote letters to his friend Lucilius about this exact problem nearly 2,000 years ago. He said, "Think how often the same scenes have come and gone. You must reflect that this will recur." He was telling his friend, one day the people you love will not be there. So look at them now. Really look. Here's a simple negative visualization exercise specifically for relationships. Tonight, before you go to bed, spend 2 minutes imagining that the person you love most, your partner, your child, your closest friend, is no longer in your life. Not as a morbid exercise, but as a lens. What would your life look like without their laugh, without their texts, without the annoying habits you complain about, that you would actually give anything to have back? Then, and this is crucial, go to them. Tell them something real, not performative, not hallmark, something real. Studies on gratitude expression show that people dramatically underestimate how much the people they love want to hear appreciation from them, and they overestimate how awkward it will be to say it. Negative visualization doesn't just make you grateful, it makes you expressive, and that changes relationships at their foundation.
You might think this practice is niche, philosophical, something for ancient Romans and modern philosophers with too much time on their hands. Let me introduce you to some of the most successful, resilient, and deeply satisfied people in the world, and show you what they have in common. Tim Ferriss, author of The 4-Hour Workweek and one of the world's most successful entrepreneurs and podcasters, calls negative visualization, or fear setting as he calls it, the most valuable exercise I do every month. He attributes his ability to take bold risks, launch businesses, and recover from failures directly to this Stoic practice. Ryan Holiday, one of the most widely read modern Stoic authors, practices negative visualization daily. He writes, "The Stoics understood that the good life isn't about getting more. It's about appreciating what you already have by imagining its absence." Naval Ravikant, the legendary entrepreneur and philosopher, speaks extensively about the Stoic practices that underpin his famously calm, clear-headed approach to business and life.
And outside the world of philosophy, Navy SEALs use mental rehearsal techniques, including visualizing worst-case scenarios, as standard training. Their training is built on the Stoic idea that a mind pre-adapted to hardship performs better under real hardship. The evidence is clear. Across cultures, centuries, and disciplines, the people who practice controlled negative thinking intentionally and systematically demonstrate higher resilience, deeper satisfaction, and more courageous action. This is not an accident. This is what happens when you stop fearing your imagination and start using it.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from the shipwrecked merchant who founded Stoicism, to the prisoner of war who survived through philosophy, to the neuroscience that explains why this 2,000-year-old practice still works, perhaps better than anything modern psychology has invented. Let me leave you with this. Most people spend their entire lives chasing happiness. They chase the next salary, the next relationship, the next vacation, the next version of themselves. And they spend their life vaguely dissatisfied, not because they have too little, but because they can no longer see what they already have. Negative visualization is the act of choosing to see. It takes 5 minutes, it costs nothing, it requires no app, no subscription, no guru. Just you, your mind, and the willingness to sit with an uncomfortable truth that everything you love is temporary. And that this fact, rather than being terrifying, is the very thing that makes it beautiful. The Stoics didn't practice this because they were pessimists.
They practiced it because they were deeply in love with life, and they refused to sleepwalk through it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live."
So here is your challenge. Tonight, just tonight, pick one thing you love. Close your eyes. Imagine it gone. Really feel it. Then, open your eyes. And for the first time in a long time, truly see it. That's it. That's the whole practice. 2,000 years of wisdom in 5 minutes. If this video changed something in you, even slightly, then do one thing. Subscribe. Because every week we bring you the ancient wisdom that modern life forgot. The tools that actually work for people who actually want to live. As the Stoics say, amor fati. Love your fate. All of it. Even the parts you haven't lost yet. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.